Jazmin, welcome back to the show. We've had some great conversations, and I know today is going to be just as great as the ones we've had before. So welcome once again, and it's so good to see you.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you for taking me. Drive safely. Thank you for being able to chat this fine Thursday afternoon.
Oh, I know, and so much to chat about. So much has also gone on since our last call, but as we always start with the human impact, the emotional impact of the work, working remote, working in isolation, now working back in the office. So how are you doing since our last call, and what has changed?
I am doing well. Since we last chatted, I finished and wrapped up my fellowship at SpaceX. So that was a really wonderful experience. Mentally doing a lot better. Things are starting to open back up. I'm starting to see subsets of my team in the office, so that has been wonderful. I've continued drinking my chai tea lattes, so I've maintained that level of consistency. Other than going in and walking a lot more, which is also really great for our mental health, I've continued the online remote sort of relationships, not just with my team, because I do have some team members that will continue to be remote past of COVID when everything starts quote unquote normal again, but also just with family as well. Just been a lot more, everyone's a lot, I think, more technologically comfortable, so a lot more like Zoom like options for things. So it's been a lot easier as well for me to still be in touch with family, even though military life has moved me a little bit far away.
Right. And speaking about that, I've learned a lot in the last couple of weeks and days about, military bases and dream assignments. So I'm a little bit more versed since our last conversation. Now, speaking about our last conversation, there's a lot of things we talked about. And on this show, we want to be able to talk about it and share some, right? So this is a great way for the audience to just kind of get a peek into some of the things that you and I like to talk about on a one-on-one basis. So I'm going to kind of set you up here with the easiest question. You picked the data science topic, right? Because usually I'm picking up, but I know we want to cover a few things. So why don't you start it? Where would you want to start the conversation?
Around data, just generally data?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, okay. I have found myself really interested in how organizations are taking charge and trying to leverage their data that may not be traditionally set up to be like a modern tech company like today. So I've been really interested lately in data architectures. What are the appropriate ways that organizations should be set up for their needs, for their use cases? Just because it works for a FANG company doesn't mean it's going to necessarily work for the needs of your organization, and it may be overkill, or you may need something just completely different. So I've been really interested in that. I think I first got into this data realm because of my interest in artificial intelligence and data science, and it's still a really big passion of mine. But I'm starting to also appreciate the actual like rubber meets the road. What do you need to do to get your AI and data science project out to a user? So that's where my appreciation for data architectures has come in, more software has come in, and that's the role I'm currently filling in the government, looking at how do we better our software capabilities to leverage advanced analytics. So that's just where I'm at right now. I find a lot of, I've talked to quite a few people about data architectures, and while I was at SpaceX, I was able to learn a lot about like best practices, and yeah, it just kind of reinforced my love for this field.
And as always, I want to throw another topic at the data science, and going back to some of the work that you're doing. When you look at your journey and how you got to all these great opportunities, was it the love for data? Was it the curious nature? Like, tell us a little, or share for the audience, like, because your journey is an atypical journey, and I think it's great to have everyone hear about your journey. So tell us about that.
Yeah. Okay. So my journey, I guess, started in undergrad, in trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew I really liked math, but I didn't want to go into any particular like specific engineering, whether it be aeronautical engineering or mechanical or electrical. Like, none of those seemed to really appeal to me. So I really enjoyed the idea of operations research, where you're going in and regardless of the domain, you have a lot of different, or regardless of the industry or the field, you are equipped with tools to be able to analyze information to come up with or help provide insight to a problem, regardless, as I said, regardless of the industry. So that really drew me into this like data science realm. And I commissioned into the Air Force after I graduated from undergrad, and I went to grad school and I went into research, and my research project was in applied analytics in healthcare. So I was working with Massachusetts General Hospital and working with them on a few healthcare projects, taking a look at their data, figuring out how they could improve efficiency of the hospital by looking at their data, and to improve the healthcare of individuals based off their data. So that really piqued my interest into the applied side of analytics and moved me away from the theoretical aspect. So after I graduated from grad school, I entered into the Air Force as a program manager, which is a little atypical of someone who has an analytics background and has studied more on the tech side. Usually the Air Force puts you into an analytics specific role. But I wanted to be able to oversee programs and oversee products and make sure that from a technical standpoint, there is a program I could provide my perspective with my technical background and help better guide a project that's more technically based. So that need to focus on something that was a little more technical, focus on products that are more tech-based, moved me into the role I'm in now, and the organization I'm in now within the Air Force, which is called Kessel Run. And Kessel Run is building software for the Air Force and for airmen. And it's different because usually when it comes to government work, we contract out or we give out that sort of development to contractors, to third parties. We very rarely develop software ourselves. And Kessel Run is introducing this concept of software being built by airmen for airmen. So that's the organization I'm a part of, which is a really great opportunity. It's a really great opportunity because I'm actually building software. I have a team, we're building software and making the data of this software built so that we can do data science and analytics. So with this end goal in mind, with this vision in mind to be able to support data science capabilities, we're able to inform the software and better build software for those. So from the get-go, we have that end thought in mind. So I was able to, and I was fortunate enough in the Air Force to navigate my way into this space, and it really fits my interest pretty well. That my love for data has evolved. So initially I thought I was really interested in data science, the actual models and the algorithms, but over time through my experiences, I've realized I really enjoy the education bit, introducing a new concept, introducing these ideas of the power of data science into an organization that may not have leveraged it in the past or been really aware of what their data can do for them. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of it because I think there's a lot of potential and a lot of impact I can make in these sorts of roles.
I love every time we speak, the energy, the thoughtfulness, how you continue to push yourself. And even for the audience listening, to me, it's always a treat to spend time with Jazmin. I guess, Jazmin, when you look back at the time at SpaceX and all your studies, advice. There's women in tech, leaders coming up every day. There's men and male and female engineers graduating. What is that little gold nugget you can give them looking back at this journey? Because you're right, you're doing things that have not been done before. How can you inspire others to follow you? What advice would you give them?
Oh, what advice? I think what things I've said in the past, and words that I go and live by is it's some words to combat this sort of like imposter syndrome, where a lot of people don't go for certain positions, or they don't reach or stick their neck out, or maybe try different things because they're not sure if they're like set up well for it, or if they have the background for it, or if they can provide like the necessary perspective for it. I urge people who are unsure about where they should be going or unsure if they're making the right decision to be okay with that discomfort. I don't think, especially when you're starting off your career, you're ever going to have this warm and fuzzy, like, oh, this is exactly what I need to do in my life. And this is what I'm going to do in my career I'm going to invest in this. And this is going to be my career for the rest of my life. I think it's very rare you get that opportunity, or you have that feeling, or you have that, you have that opportunity. The discomfort, I think, is natural. I think a lot of people have that worry that they're not making the right decision for themselves. What I would propose and offer is that when you feel this discomfort and you have this feeling of uncomfortableness in a situation, that is an opportunity for growth. And as long as you're growing, you're on the right track. As long as you're growing to better yourself, you're on the right track, and you'll learn more as you go along as to what is working for you, what's not working for you. I think people get discouraged when they feel uncomfortable or if they come across roadblocks and challenges, they do feel discouraged, and it is easier to revert to something you're more comfortable with. But when you have that stagnation, when you don't grow, that's when you're doing yourself a disservice and your team and the people around you a disservice, because you're not giving your best self, the best version of yourself, to others. I think that mentality also helps lift other people as well. When you start to fill voids that you may not have seen people fill before, that looked like you, or that thought like you, or that acted like you, like that is how we get more diversity in these sorts of roles. When we have individuals that are willing to go out of their comfort zone and be that test case. Is it going to work, or is it not going to work? We need pioneers, and it's okay to have a level of discomfort. Every pioneer does, every person does, but we need that. If you feel like you don't have that representation or that role model to look up to that you don't identify with, that is an indicator to fill the void and be that role model for others, because it is so powerful when you have people that you can identify with in leadership positions. I think leadership is so important, and it's even more important nowadays. I think that's not really taught enough in schools, and it's also something it's really hard to teach. It's hard to teach leadership. It's easy to give a list of things you need to do as a manager, but it's a whole other thing to understand what it means to be like a leader. And leading by example and putting yourself out there and not being afraid to take risks and listening to others. These are all things that are going to make up like a leader. So yeah, just all that to say, if I were to provide some nugget of knowledge, it's don't be scared of being uncomfortable.
Thank you, and thank you. It's it's gold, it's well said, it's authentic, the punch lands, and advice I think is for everybody, whether you're just coming out of school, just moved to a new job, been at a company for a lot of years, did another move. It's that feeling of uncomfortable that's going to catch you up and push you to do great things. I love the advice. Life lesson right there. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
And as always, thanks for being on the show. Always, we don't speak enough. Yeah. So we're going to have you back just because I feel like I am just always smarter and happier after we stop speaking. So I just always appreciate you making time for us on the show.
Yes, of course. I love chatting. I would love to be able to speak again and it's always good to have these conversations. I mean, people knowledge is shared and retained through stories. And you can read as many books as you want. You could attend as many conferences as you want. But it's that one-to-one sort of storytelling that really resonates with people. And it's in these smaller forums as well that you get the most out of it. And I think we need to have more of that, especially in our field, especially in data. We don't have enough storytellers in the data field. So thank you for creating this platform.
Absolutely. Just ended on that. It's well said.
Well, lovely. Thank you so much.
And great show.